Right on.
That's fine. I mean, no sense not recording it.
Yeah, I recorded pretty much my entire weekend. My wife and I talked for 4 hours, and I recorded that.
I saw part of that on Instagram. It was funny.
Yeah.
She's technically not paid to stay with you. That's the only thing I took away from that whole thing.
Yeah, we went out Saturday night, left our teenage daughter at home, got home about 15 minutes earlier than she expected, and saw 6 teenagers running out my back door.
What?
So yeah, I'll share the podcast with you because it's a pretty good. It's an hour and 40 minutes, but you can listen to it going faster. That's
funny stuff,
yeah.
Man.
And
that's funny stuff.
And yeah, I can't record all of it, what we said. So I'll share the private link with you because
right on. That's hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
So are you recording now?
Yeah.
All right. I can see the thing. So a couple ideas that I had that I thought would be useful in this, and just kind of during this time as you're setting things up. So I noticed your kind of your pictures of your setup and what it looks like, and that kind of thing. So I'm wondering if we do here's your range, right? Here's your kind of if you got the equipment, here's kind of almost your maximal setup. Right. And then a minimal setup, which, would be very similar, but it would just be basically my desk with a Blue Yeti and an extra screen, right? Because because that's all you need, right?
Yeah.
And to do it, just to kind of help people out. Because I got to tell you, man, I take it for granted. Not only we've thought about this stuff for a long time as far as what we think would be effective and how we can try things out in the classroom and that kind of thing, but even just we take for granted just the ability to work remote, right? Just the tools, right?
Yes.
Zoom, Slack, this, that, and other thing. And even at 2U, an online education company, people that are used to going into the office every day don't know what to do when they have to work from home.
Right.
And talk about expert blind spot. I was like, what do you mean you don't know how to do that? People, it's just like, yeah, I've been working from home for so long and working on remote teams for so long that it's second nature. So our team is completely remote. So this has literally not changed my life one bit on the job front. Right. So I think some of the things that you and I probably think are pretty elementary, we can share with people that might really help them, even remote work kind of thing. The other 100%. Thing I think would be neat, and I'd like to try out, maybe we can try this out as well when we're doing this, is, one, kind of give them, help people out, give away some cheat sheets and that kind of stuff, for, hey, if you're going to use Zoom for a class, here's some best practices, here's some tips, right? Mm-hmm. Everywhere from very simple to, I'm going to mute everybody and I'm just going to lecture at you, all the way to how can you foster some interaction, all the way into how can you use breakout rooms, which frankly, I haven't used breakout rooms and that kind of stuff. So I think, that's something I need to explore. And then you can even go to the one-on-one side of okay, well, how can you do paired programming or paired debugging with the screen control? So you kind of have this whole, just almost like a webinar, all the way to, kind of breakout groups and that kind of stuff, all the way to just one-on-one help.
Yeah, because I don't even know how the breakout rooms even work.
I don't either, but I've heard people talk of them, and I've heard some, just anecdotally, people have some really good experience with them. I don't know what that means though. So I think that that's something we should experiment with, and and again, we can just kind of give maybe a couple of one-sheeters on, hey, if you're going to use Zoom, this is the way to do X, Y, and Z scenarios, right? Kind of give them some scenarios. Here's maybe some best practices to know how to use Zoom or whatever. So, I need to do some research. I don't even know how to use breakout rooms.
Well, here, I'm going to share the link with you right now. It'll be interesting to see if this is a free thing or if it's part of the enterprise version.
Right.
Which I think enterprise version, they were looking at $600 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, 100%. I agree exactly what you're saying. I think you and I both have the perspective on this to help people who are coming in from ground zero, but then help people who maybe have want to use the tool for pedagogical reasons and be able to use, okay, so breakout sessions. We're going to do, I'm teaching a screenwriting class that basically the second half of the class was supposed to be workshopping writing. Okay,
Right.
how are we going to do that? Yeah, we can have conversations in Zoom, but for me to be able to actually mark up a document, we got to use another tool for that. But
Right.
then if we're in class, in a live session of class, and want to break out into different rooms, like, yeah. So exploring that'll be important.
Yeah, so I think that'll be important. And then I think also then putting, how does Slack integrate with Zoom, and can you use those together? And when would you rather use Slack, versus the Zoom chat, or would you, and those kinds of things. And,
yeah,
and using Slack like we did at the Guild, where that was kind of like first level support, right? Hey, if it's a quick answer, it's over Slack, we're done. If not, let's hop into a Zoom room and let's dive deeper.
The one thing that I'm going to work on right now, that we've kind of started, I think is going to be vital for this this remote thing being successful in any way, shape, or form, is going to be communication protocols.
Yeah.
Like when we are, and just in general, what goes through email, when we're having a live session, where are questions put? When we're not in a live session, where are questions put? Like, how do we deal with learner questions in a way that's manageable, addressed timely, because learners are going to freak out.
Right.
And yeah, so that's part of what I'm going to try to settle this week as we move into next week, is loosely defining some of those things with a group of people who don't like things defined for them, AKA faculty. So
right.
Good times.
Faculty is such a pain in the ass.
Hey, I'm a faculty.
I know.
I'm a faculty.
Me too.
Yeah.
Teachers are the worst, man.
Yeah, teachers make the worst students.
They're the worst.
But we love us.
Sure we do.
Well,
I love us every time I don't have to teach us.
The one thing that also though right now with the switch to online and remote stuff, I'm really pushing hard. Don't make teachers do what they're not trained to do. Don't make them instructional designers. Don't make them LMS uploaders. Don't make them transcribers. Don't make them video producers. Let them do what they do. We have people who are trained and can do this thing after the fact. Let us do that. You just worry about sitting in front of a group of people and making sure they feel connected to what you're talking about.
Yep.
Even if that group of people is staring at you through webcams like we are.
Agreed. I agree with that.
So do you want to test this code thing? This is what I'm really interested in.
I'm setting up a Maven project, right? Or a project in IntelliJ right now. So I'm going to set up my editor and I'll get some blank files here.
All right.
And
and while you do that, one of the problems that we have when teaching code is it's very hard to troubleshoot code without seeing it and being able to actually type with somebody, right? Like, hey, sometimes you just have to drive for that person and show them what they're doing wrong or what they need to do right.
Yep.
And I think this is what we're going to try to explore right here, right now, not only for instructional purposes, but also for what's called the concept of paired programming, which I'm going to have you explain what that is because I'll mess it up.
Yeah. So paired programming, it's a technique used by a lot of agile development methodologies where you, rather than having everybody work kind of on their own at their own pace on their code, what you'll do is you'll have two people attack a problem together. And generally what you'll do is when you pair in person. So it'll be basically two people, one keyboard, right? So, and what you do, and there's a lot of different terminologies depending on the, what methodology you're using or whatever, but I like to say there's a driver and there's a navigator, right?
Okay.
And so you'll have somebody the whole key of this, right? And it gets back to what you said before, is communication, right? So in paired programming, there's a lot of communication that needs to go on. So the person typing is going to, essentially be kind of, even though they're driving, they're not actually navigating, right? So the person kind of over their shoulder is kind of thinking out loud and, going through and saying, okay, well, we need to solve this problem this way. Let's go over here. Let's put this piece of code in here, this piece of code in here, whatever. And then the person driving is actually going to implement that piece of code, right? So you have is actually going to type it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have one keyboard, four hands, and what you can't do, and what a lot of people will do is if they're driving, they'll just start typing and ignore the person behind them, right? And so that's
Right.
where you really want the person that's navigating you want them to talk about the problem, and really paired programming and effective paired programming really, it's just like anything, right? That we tell, especially new coders, don't code the problem. Take a step back and try to solve the problem. So a lot of, really with paired programming, you take a step back and it actually starts with, paired investigation and almost paired design of the solution, right, to whatever you're doing. So rather than just having somebody blindly type what the other person says, you should take a step back and say, okay, how are we going to approach this problem? What do we need to do? What are the requirements? What are the outcomes we're going to have? Let's talk about let's put this together, even whiteboard it, and then let's get together and you start typing. I'm going to look over here at our map. I'm going to help us navigate. So it's almost like they build the map together, and then you got a driver and a navigator. So it's not like one person bossing the other person around. I mean, when it's really effective, your team problem solving is what you're really doing.
Gotcha.
And when it's effective and the communication is effective, you can get some real economies of scale there, right? You can get some real efficiencies there. And you can you got two brains on the problem. You can kind of see the shortcomings in each other's way of thinking and come up with a really good solution, and then go ahead and think through it, talk through it, and then implement it, and then go for it, right? So it can be very effective.
And it's
so
really
that's kind of what paired programming is.
It's kind of slowing things down too, and making you think about what you're doing by forcing you to interact with somebody else.
Right.
Which inevitably slows things down when you have two people trying to sort something out. Right. You want to watch a movie. It's easy. You and your wife try to choose a movie together.
Right.
A little bit more
Right.
complex.
Well, and the thing that I think it really forces is that even without paired programming. So I've been developing software for a long time, and when I started developing software, paired programming wasn't a paradigm that anybody really used. It wasn't something that anybody thought of.
Right.
But even at that point, right, if you look at the life cycle of a piece of code, and you look at the coding part, which is what everybody really concentrates on, if you're doing it right, the coding part is the smallest part, because it's you need to solve a problem. The code just happens to be the expression to solving the problem. So go back and solve the problem, think about it, figure out how you're going to test it, figure out how it fits into the bigger picture. And once you have that all figured out and solve it, then go code it, right? And so this actually forces it. And now you have a partner in crime to kind of make you, force you into that. So
there's a saying in design, and I don't know who to attribute this to, but one of the reasons we sketch so much is so we don't finalize our crappy designs in Illustrator or whatever the design program is, right? Because once you start coding, once you start putting actual physical type on a screen, elements on a screen, you fall in love with those elements and try to work your solution around those elements versus...
Right, it changes your point of view, and 100%. It kind of works because now that you put those there, it feels like that's part of your reality and that you have to work around it, right?
Well, and I think too, the whole concept of navigation and driver, it requires you to, as a navigator, to be much more clear in your communication.
Right. It does.
You can't just say, hey, add the thing there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Absolutely. The other piece is that's really key in this is that if you have a really well functioning pair, together, that you should be able to just switch, right? So if that communication is really clear and you're really communicating with each other, you're really you're really on the same page, and you guys are really thinking about the same things, then it should be very easy for me to hand the keyboard over to you and start navigating, and it should be seamless, right? Because we're on the same page, we're communicating well, we're in that flow, and we're working together. And that's also not to say that the person driving can't speak, right? I mean, obviously there's it's a two-way communication, not a one-way communication. And I kind of like the idea of when you sit back, and a lot of times, this happened at the Guild. I remember a couple times very vividly, right, where a pair would come up and they're just like, we just can't get this. And my first thing would be like, close your notebook, grab a dry erase marker, and get over to a whiteboard and see how long it takes you to figure this out. And inevitably, within 3, 4, 5 minutes, they'd be like, okay, we got it, right? Because you're not trying to code at it. So what I really like is, as a pair, you look at the program, you look at the problem, and you close the laptop and you solve it together. So in other words, you guys are the map makers, right? So let's make the map together.
Mm-hmm.
Just write this all down. And then during that translation part where you're translating it to code, that's where you really have the navigator and the driver. So the driver is implementing and typing and putting the things in and doing what you need to do. And then the navigator there has their eye on the map and making sure that you're going through and you're executing this plan that you both came up with exactly the way that you want to navigate it, right? And the way you want to implement it. So, again, it's at any given time, it's not that the navigator is more important than the driver or vice versa. It's just, it's just different roles to solve a particular problem. So
I'm gonna Snapchat us a picture, or Facebook or Instagram or whatever us a picture.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
Cool. So I think the other big piece, right, where this comes into play. So there is the pair programming, and again, done right, I think we can really we'll experiment some different ways of doing this.
So how do we do that with Zoom, right?
Right. Right. And so I think that and I think debugging is the other piece, right? To your point, where sometimes if somebody's having problems, and say you're a faculty member, or you're not necessarily a member of the pair, but maybe there's a pair that's having some difficulties,
and then
you could come in, and a lot of times it's really hard to, without seeing their code and understanding what it looks like and that kind of stuff, it can be very difficult to help them debug it.
Oh, I've used Slack. So I use Slack for all of my classes, and for my web page development class, people will ask questions in Slack. It's like, hey, this isn't working. I'm like, great. What do you want me to guess at first?
Right. So I think that this is another, with Zoom, I think this is another way for us to kind of do this. So let's do a little simple experiment here. So I'm going to share one of my screens with you, and then I'm going to see if I can give you control.
I'm going to pause you for a second, or keep going. There is an option for me as the meeting host. I can allow one participant to share at a time, or multiple participants can share simultaneously. I'm actually going to turn on the multiple one, because I want to see what that looks like in a second here. So
yeah, that's a good point. I don't know what that looks like either.
Because if we're talking about a whiteboard, and it could be a virtual whiteboard or a Google Draw thing that's got my flowchart on it, and then my code next to it, me as the person trying to troubleshoot, I need to see both of those, or to advise them to see both of those.
Right. All right. So can you see my code now?
Yes, and it's beautiful code.
It is.
You're right. Such good code. Such good clean code. Uncle Bob would be happy.
He would be. This is a template that was auto generated, so it's definitely my best work.
Yes,
for sure. All right. So now I'm going to look at this. So I'm on sharing right now, and I'm going to fumble around here a little bit. I don't even know how I can give you control.
I don't know that you can. Are you sure that's a
remote
thing?
Control. Here I go. Remote control.
Really?
And I'm going to give mouse and keyboard control.
Really?
To Michael Vanderpool.
What?
Right. Zoom.us.app would like to control this computer using the accessibility features, and I'm going to say open system preferences. I'm going to have to go through and actually let you do that. Allow the apps below to control your computer. I have Zoom and...
Yeah, I can't see that if you got something up.
No, I this is on my end. So this is something, Mike, that we're going to have to put in the...
Can you do a screenshot of it?
Yes, I can. Hold on.
Yeah, this remote control thing will be phenomenal.
Basically what it did, Mike, is it on a Mac, it opens up the security and privacy features.
Okay.
So then you got to go ahead and put your password in, and then say allow IntelliJ and Zoom to control your computer.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and I got to check both of them. And then I'll go ahead and I'll lock this up. And I think we're good. Let me get out of here.
I
I'm going
mean,
to come back and give you control again.
okay, that could be phenomenal for our IT department who's going to try to help people with remote things on their
Yeah.
computer.
So you should have control. See if you can change the 1.8 to say 1.9.
I can't. I can't. I'm typing on my keyboard now, and
All
I
right.
can't put a cursor anywhere.
Okay. All right. Let's try it again here. Come up here. I'm going to say remote control. Give mouse and keyboard control to Mike Vanderpool.
Click to start the mouse keyboard control the shared screen. Whoa.
Yeah, you're controlling me, man.
Whoa. Now, how do I zoom in on this? Because that's what I'm going to have to do to be able to see your screen a little bit better.
That is a good question.
Can I control plus? No. Can you control plus? Or how would you zoom in on?
I would just use my, do you have a, you can just use your mouse. Did that help? Did that zoom
Okay,
it
I've
for
got
you?
here. Hold on. Oh, that
Did
got
that zoom
bigger.
it for you?
Yeah, that got bigger for me.
So you can just pinch and you can use your mouse pad to pinch and stuff. See if you do that on your own.
Wild. All right, so I can see this good enough. So yeah, I can come in here. I can put my cursor.
Yep.
1.8. I can change to 2. Wow.
So this is beautiful, right? So
Wow,
this
that's
is,
actually, yeah, you can use this.
yep.
So hold on a second. So let me do this. We're gonna see if we can break this, right? That's what we do. I have remote control, so you're gonna have to give up remote control. Now, with IntelliJ and other IDs like that, are they cloud-based or would we have to use GitHub to push and pull and merge conflict nonsense or what? You know what I'm saying? Like for us to be able to
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to because that's just, I mean, any kind of remote teamwork, which is a skill that you want them to
oh,
have.
look at
Right?
that. Under view options, sorry.
Yeah.
I can go to original size and I can come in here and oh wow. Yeah, this is pretty nice, dude.
So
Sorry.
where's your view options? What do you,
So I'll give you access. So I'm gonna stop sharing
okay.
and I'll share my screen. So this
Okay.
is well, that's not what I wanted to share. Here we
I'm going
go.
to move this screen over so I
Oh,
can look at it.
yeah. So here we go. I'm just gonna do a new file. Why does it keep putting that up? Share screen, screen 1, share. That is so wild.
Can you just
Well,
share VS Code? I mean, you can just share an app or you can share a screen or a window.
can you see that now?
I can.
So brackets untitled.
Okay. Yep. All right.
So that's what I'm sharing.
Okay. So I have view options here.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
under view options, that's where you can zoom in and do some stuff.
Oh, nice. Okay. I like that.
So now why don't you do me a favor? You share your screen. Remember, because we're supposed to be able to share 2.
Yep. Now, did you give me remote control?
Probably not. How do I do that?
Go up to in the top where you have your whole menu. Like hover over the thing that says
remote control suite. Yep.
Just hit remote control and then
You should be good.
Start. So I can do this. I should be able to come here.
Yeah, and I didn't have to do anything, man. I didn't have to do anything with permissions.
Great. Very
Is
cool.
it? Is it great?
I don't know. Your machine is probably not as locked down as mine was, but
yes.
all right. So let me try to share my screen. We'll see if we can break it. Of course, I don't know. I don't think I can share my screen while I'm controlling your screen, though.
Okay. So let me go ahead and
I can. How do I stop controlling you?
I may have to stop There you go. I aborted the control. There you go. Yeah, because you can't click your own screen, I don't think.
Right. Not when I'm controlling.
Yeah. So you're done.
Now, so you're sharing. Let me share a different screen of mine. I'm going to share IntelliJ. So this would be an example where we could put our code side by side, right?
Yep. And look at this bad boy.
All right. So now, what does this look like on you? I just shared my screen. Now I can't see yours. Hold on. Oh, what is going on here? Can you see my screen?
No, I can. Oh, hold on. Well, that's wild. No, I cannot see your screen.
Gotcha.
But it is showing that you're screen sharing. Yeah, it's showing that you're sharing, but it's not. And I don't know, because I have dual monitors set up, it could be a little wild.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too. Oh, hold on here. So stop share. All right, so let's do this real quick. I'm going to stop my share. All right, I can see yours. Can I try something real quick?
Yeah.
Hold on, if I can find it. So viewing your screen, view options.
This is one of the things.
Can you see this when I do this?
I see nothing.
Okay, because I am annotating your screen.
Oh, no, yeah, I can see the green. Yeah. Yep, I can see that.
Okay,
yep.
So this is cool. So when somebody shares, so there's a couple of different things here, right? So if you're trying to help somebody navigate, right?
Yep.
The annotate thing is pretty cool, right? Because you can just say, hey, listen, go over here and click offer. Great.
Yep.
Go in here and do this, right? So you can really help somebody step through things.
And you can take pictures too. Take a picture of that. So up in the same bar, there's save JPEG. Save that, because when this recording gets saved, I want to see if where those things go. Because right when you save a recorded, it gives you an audio file, a video file, and also the chat. I'm assuming that the JPEGs will be dumped in there as well.
It said it saved it. So
we'll see where it's saved to.
We'll see. All right, cool.
Yeah, but I can't see your screen at all.
I stopped sharing.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. Now you share yours again. We'll try this one more time. I want to see if we can get these multiple shares down, because if I'm a third party in here and can see the code and the whiteboard at the same time, that's going to be pretty cool.
Yep. All right. So this is what I'm sharing. Oh, hold on. I understand what happened. Okay, I got moved over to a different desktop.
Oh.
So you go ahead and share yours. Let's see what happens. So now I'm sharing my screen.
And I don't get anything. I still see a black screen from yours. But again, it could be because I'm a double desktop.
Okay, so you can't see. You can't see.
No, when I could see yours before. When I stop sharing, I can see yours.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's wild.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to see about that.
Maybe the Zoom people can save us.
Yeah. Interesting.
No, but I think the annotation thing, I mean, that's huge, because right, like where when I'm talking to you, where am I pointing? Where am I looking?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So you can annotate without screen control, and then with screen control, we can, and that's, another thing, right? Where we can do a little, like you could do a little code review of somebody's code for the entire class.
Yeah.
Right. If you wanted to step through some code and it was on somebody else's machine.
Well, what I usually do with my code reviews for my HTML and CSS class is I have a paper copy of their code that I'm marking up. I give them a copy, then a copy for myself, and then that's what they go fix. Like with the annotation thing, I can do that right there, as long as I have a stylus or something good to write with.
Exactly.
I wonder, you probably even type on that, I would imagine. It's probably got that functionality.
Share your screen again.
Yeah, because even I can annotate my own screen. Yeah, text.
Oh yeah. Annotate. Yep. Yeah, you got clear, text, mouse, draw, stamp. You can even do arrows, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, nice. And
So
then
that's cool.
saves, show in folders. And that actually is going to go, yep, that'll be in the same exact folder uh, that your audio and video files go after the fact.
Cool. I
Sweet.
love it. This is pretty sophisticated.
Yeah, I mean, so we were talking about using Google Hangouts versus this, and I mean, this just seems like it blows a lot of things away.
I'm gonna agree with you. Um, yeah, this. I mean, I think this is a nice solution, and we were looking for one. You know, this is something Cognizant was asking for one of the training classes we're going to do that's going to be completely online. They were
Right.
looking for that. How do we do paired programming? And you know, again, this isn't perfect, but I think it's going to be pretty good. So to at least get the gist of how you do paired programming. So
Yeah. Well, and I think what would be cool for paired programming, let's say, so you're going to have some type of a whiteboarding tool for remote, right? And we've looked at Sketch and a bunch of Sketch.io, or there's a bunch of different ones that we played with before, right? Google Draw,
yep,
even.
yep,
Um, you know, what you could make people do, and let me stop sharing. What you could do is in the chat, ask them to post the links, and then those things would
yep,
actually be in the Zoom session. So like you could honestly, as a faculty member, you guys are going to pair program for 25 minutes or 45 minutes, and then you're going to upload that whole thing to whatever. The links would all be there in the text file, because when we save this, right, all the chat gets saved in a text file.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I think maybe tomorrow we can. I mean, I think we need to do a little bit more research on the breakout rooms, but then see
Yeah.
how they play into this. You know, the kind of this bigger thing. But and I think that this is a very powerful tool to be able to do some pretty, I think, engaging learning online. And
Yeah.
again, like you said, I think that I think the key to you know, making this work, especially for, you know, learners that aren't used to this, is giving them some good ground rules.
Yeah.
You know, hey, when you want to do this, you know, if you know, these kinds of questions are email, these kind of questions are in the chat, you know, whatever. And I think that we probably need to come up with, like, right now I couldn't tell you. I mean, maybe just use chat on this and you don't use Slack because the chat is recorded.
I'm thinking that in the lecture discussion event itself, you just use the group chat.
Yep.
This is what we're going to use for synchronous conversations, is
Yep.
Zoom. Asynchronous stuff we'll deal with in Slack.
Yep.
Another big tip is, you know, you and I, good with technology, we were able to do this. But people who aren't as comfortable with the technology, what I've done, even for myself, because you miss things, I have a computer set up in my room with a TV. So that's the host computer. So the moderator of I've got a moderator for the lecture that sits there and can see who's raising hands and deal with questions, let people in if it's a closed room, all that other stuff. All I have to do is be able to talk.
Yep.
So I'm just going to do the stuff I'm used to doing as a faculty. Granted, it's going to be a little bit different, but by having a moderator in the room, you've removed all those extra barriers for me to actually do my job.
Yep. I think so. And that's, you know, with the model that we've used, right, having a lead instructor and kind of a TA or
Yep.
whatever. Yeah, I think what we do is we change the role of the TA, but let the faculty person,
Yeah.
you know, let the faculty be the faculty. If you're going to be the person presenting the new material and leading the discussion, then that's just what you do.
Because faculty's, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and then the TA, I mean, really is playing that same role, right? Wandering through the class, watching hands, you know, making sure things are kind of smoothed out. But now it's in a virtual setting rather than actually walking down the rows in the classroom.
And it's, hey, my audio doesn't work. Okay, great. The teacher doesn't have to stop it. The TA can go have a you know, individual conversation in the
Right.
chat with that person. The other thing too, I just thought of, right, we can actually then centralize all of our hosting for these things upstairs in our IT department. And then the faculty don't even have to worry about recording, storing, doing anything on their own machines. They're just going to jump in like another participant.
Right. Right.
Like this
Yeah.
is like, my whole thing is like, we have to, with the time crunch and everything else, the inability, there's not enough time to train people. We just have to remove every single barrier for a faculty to engage with students right now.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that might be what we
Well,
do.
so I think it'll be really useful. And this gets back to kind of what we talked about at the beginning, where you have kind of the maximized setup and the minimized setup, right? So
Yeah.
I think that, for an institution, right, a school, whatever, it's a K-12 school, it's a community college, a department at a university, whatever that is, ideally, right, you get their IT people on board, you host in one place, like you said, faculty just jump in, it's links, you just teach, right?
Yeah.
TAs do some, do what they do, but in a virtual manner, but then the IT department is taking care of, the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're kind of that, you're kind of out on an island, you're just kind of a lone person, you don't have that kind of support, whatever. I think we could also say, if you're a little bit tech savvy, if you just have the minimal setup and it's just you and you need to get in touch with your students, here's what you can do minimally with a Yeti mic, an internet connection, and an extra monitor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just in case they don't have an
Yeah.
IT department that can help them out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think that's the other thing that we're getting with trying to put some of our programs online from 2U. They're all worried about production value and this and that and the other thing. And online, I'm like, listen, you need a webcam, not even that good a one.
Yeah.
It's nice if you have some lighting, but whatever. And it'd be nice if you had a Yeti mic and some headphones. But right now, I'm just using my MacBook Pro stuff, and you can make effective learning with fairly low production value, right?
It doesn't have to be produced.
Right.
I mean, it has to be produced, but it doesn't have to be high production values. Nobody cares about
Exactly.
HD. And in all honesty, HD makes it less accessible.
Right.
I mean, I can produce it in 4K, but the guy sitting in the middle of the cornfield trying to access this, that's a barrier for him.
Right. Because that's way too much bandwidth. So
I actually had a student this morning, and this is huge, right? We don't realize now with everybody home, our internet connections just got infinitely worse.
Right.
Because brother and sister are going to be doing homework on
right.
Amazon and Netflix and everything else.
Right.
Yeah. So just this. So I'm using the webcam on my computer, my Mac or my PC. This was $120 microphone. These are $150 headphones. Don't need this. This helps. But in all honesty, like some of the stuff I shot this weekend was just done with my phone with no microphone to show people, like, really just make sure you got the phone someplace static and steady and get close enough and be mindful of the surroundings where you're shooting.
Right.
So it's not too crazy loud and you can make things happen. I think that's the big thing, right? We just, with what I'm designing right now, and again, this is different than what we're talking about with programming, because you could write an application with this, but most sane people aren't going to do that.
No.
But at least for accessing the content, right? This could be my second screen sitting right here going through a video of you coding and me having this computer in front of me coding along with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think we're in good shape. So
I think we need a phone holder that will actually like put your phone on the top. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing here, can you? No, because it's on the web. I'm doing it on the computer that has the webcam on it. I'm not that bright. It's been a long day. But like that would hold your phone on top of your computer as like a second screen.
Yeah, like a little second monitor.
Yeah. Huh.
Second camera. Yeah.
Yeah, I might 3D print some of those tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So anyway.
I think the other thing, some other things that we can kind of we can talk about, and we can talk about some of this stuff offline, but talk a little bit about transcription services. I know that you have a service that you're kind of using. What that looks like, and again, for accessibility. Talk about again, maybe we should get some. I'll get my laptop set up with my Yeti and that kind of stuff. I'll snap some pics of like what my minimal setup is versus your maximal setup. We can kind of put together some. Here's the range of setup you can use. here's, once we kind of figure out these breakout rooms with Zoom, I think we can start to put together at least some ideas on, hey, you can use these protocols for these situations in your classes.
Yep.
And depending on what you're trying to teach, obviously I'm kind of stuck in the coding realm, but and also the design realm, just because I hang out with you. But I mean, there's applicable situations for whatever, history, math, whatever it might be, right?
Right.
To get people involved, and then give some cheat sheets, and just kind of give a little bit of a survival kit, right? I mean, because honestly, right, if you have a mic and you got your laptop, you got if your laptop has a decent webcam and you got an extra monitor, you're good to go. You got your studio.
You don't even need a webcam. I mean, we're a society that's still ingesting pure audio content with audiobooks and podcasts. Like this whole camera thing, don't let that be the limiter.
Right, that's true.
Now, screen sharing, yes, if you're pointing something out or have a PowerPoint or a presentation that you're going to show, but your face does not have to actually be on the screen.
Agreed. Yeah, just audio is enough for sure.
Yeah.
So. Cool.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to hop off because I'm going to start driving home because it's been a long day.
Sounds good.
I don't know if you want to try to do regular scheduled stuff here, but we can talk about that. This week's going to be crazy for me. I got 3,000 things I'm trying to settle out. But I think at the end of the day, what we just did with Zoom and some of the stuff that we figured out just playing with it will help some people. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, agreed. So,
all right, man.
All right. So go ahead and hit stop, and then I got a couple questions for you.
Hold on a second.